Boston. That name, it used to be the symphony of our love and shared dreams. Its ancient cobblestone streets, the maple trees ablaze with color, every autumn, every corner where we had our dates, all echoed with laughter and whispered vows. I once believed that with love alone, we could overcome any storm. I thought marriage was the connection of two souls building a world just for us, but I was wrong. There was an invisible power, a colossal shadow, seemingly just affection, that could crush everything, the intervention of family. We all grow up in the loving embrace of our parents, but can that love ever become shackles binding the happiness of their own children? Are there secrets hidden beneath the guise of care, only to be revealed as sharp blades severing seemingly eternal bonds? If you're watching this, have you ever faced invisible pressures from family expectations you couldn't meet, or simmering conflicts that erupted into a storm? Join me, William, as I relive those days. Days when home was no longer a sanctuary, but a battlefield where I had to fight for my own happiness, for the woman I loved, and for a future we once envisioned together. Can there be peace after the emotional storms caused by the very people we call family? I'm William, a young dynamic architect with an endless passion for classic buildings and the seamless blend of modern architectural lines. I love Boston. I love how this city carries centuries of history, yet constantly reinvents itself. I met Isabella, a talented and free-spirited interior designer, at an art exhibition in the South End. She had shimmering brown hair, eyes as deep blue as the ocean, and a radiant smile that could melt any chill. I was immediately captivated by her openness, her freedom, and the way she spoke passionately about her designs, the spaces she wanted to create to bring happiness to people. Our love blossomed quickly like a wildflower, pushing strongly through cracks in the rock, defying all prejudices. My family was Irish-American with a long history in Boston, placing family values above all else and holding a touch of conservatism. My mother, Amanda, was a strong woman managing everything in the household, and she had a profound influence on me. She always wanted me to marry a girl who was suitable for the family, someone with a solid background and ready to dedicate herself to homemaking, family care, and child-rearing. She often reminded me of the eldest son's responsibility to continue the family line and that I was the family's only pride. She would frequently cite my older sisters as examples who had settled down and had children early, implying that Isabella should follow suit. When I introduced Isabella to her, my mother, Amanda, was clearly displeased. "She's a bit modern, William," she said, her voice full of skepticism, glancing at Isabella from head to toe. "Does she know how to cook, to manage a home? Is she ready to give up her career to be a mother? For women, the essence is to keep the family flame burning." Isabella was an only child from a more intellectual and liberal family, prioritizing independence and personal development. She always put her career and passion first. She wanted to make a name for herself in her industry, build her own brand, and believed that modern women could balance work and family without necessarily sacrificing one for the other. She also loved children, but for her, having children required clear planning, waiting until both of us were ready in every aspect, financially and emotionally. Isabella always said that a child deserved to be born into an environment where parents were truly ready to welcome and love them. Despite my mother's implicit disapproval, we still decided to get married. The wedding was held in an old church in Boston with close family and friends present. My mother, though unhappy, had to accept it to save face. I believed our love was strong enough to overcome any barrier, that differences in family culture were just small challenges we would face together. I believed that once we were married, my mother would gradually accept Isabella, and Isabella would also better understand my family's traditional values. I dreamed of a beautiful scenario where my mother and Isabella would understand each other, perhaps even grow to love each other like mother and daughter. Isabella's radiant smile on our wedding day as she walked arm in arm with me down the aisle was all I needed to firmly believe in our future. The vow to be with each other in sickness and in health, in wealth and in poverty, echoed within me, making me believe we were destined for each other. Our married life began quite smoothly. We moved into a cozy apartment in Beacon Hill, not too far from my parents' house. Isabella remained passionate about her interior design projects, and I also made significant strides in my architectural career, being assigned many important projects. We had romantic evenings together, cooking meals, strolling hand in hand along Boston's brightly lit streets, telling each other about our small dreams. We planned world travels, exploring different cultures, and painted a perfect picture of the life we always desired: a larger house with a green garden, a golden retriever, and children who would fill our home with laughter. I thought I had found a safe haven, a place where I could be myself and be loved unconditionally. After nearly a year of marriage, the pressures from my family began to become more apparent, like dark clouds gathering to obscure our happy sunshine. My mother, Amanda, started visiting our apartment frequently without notice. At first I thought it was just my mother's concern, but gradually those visits became full-fledged inspections. She checked the refrigerator, looked at the stack of dishes in the sink, and always had comments about how Isabella didn't know how to manage a household. "Isabella, dear, you should spend time learning to cook. Our William loves my stew. For women, a tidy home and good food are most important." She would often say, her voice gentle but full of hidden meaning, glancing at Isabella's design sketches scattered on the table, making Isabella feel uncomfortable and undervalued. The pressure to have children also increased. Every time we met, my mother would ask, "When will I have grandchildren to hold?" William, Isabella isn't getting any younger. It's harder for women to have children after 30. The first son is most important to continue the family line. She even added that if Isabella was too busy with work, she would be willing to retire early to care for the grandchild, and even suggested Isabella should cut back on work or switch to part-time. I tried to appease both sides, telling my mother that we were still young, wanted to stabilize our careers first, and explained to Isabella that mother was just worried about our future, that it was just a mother's love. But Isabella felt deeply insulted. "I'm not a baby-making machine, William. I have my own career, my own dreams. Don't you understand that your mother is interfering too deeply in our lives? She wants me to give up everything to become who she wants," she once said in tears, her voice trembling with resentment. Differences in parenting philosophies also became apparent. Even without children, whenever we discussed the future, my mother emphasized that children must be educated. According to Catholic tradition, must attend prestigious private schools with a rigorous curriculum and must follow strict rules. She even suggested we move closer to her house so she could tutor her grandchildren. Isabella, on the other hand, believed in letting children explore, freely develop their personal talents, and live an innocent life without imposition. She often talked about modern educational methods where children were encouraged to develop creativity and critical thinking. "I want my child to be themselves, not a version of adult expectations, not to live according to anyone's mold," she said, and I felt stuck in the middle of two opposing ideologies, not knowing which side to lean towards. Financial pressure was also a major issue. My mother believed that I had to be the sole financial head of the family and manage all expenses. She often advised me not to let Isabella spend wastefully on unnecessary things like expensive furniture for personal projects or the luxurious trips Isabella dreamed of. "Men must hold the money to keep the fortune, my son. If you let women spend freely, there will be nothing left," she often whispered to me. I felt constrained. Once my mother arbitrarily transferred a large sum of money into our joint account along with a note, "This money is for my eldest grandchild. Don't spend it haphazardly. Spending money on Isabella's work is a waste." Isabella found out and was furious. "Do you see what your mother is doing? She doesn't trust me. She doesn't respect our autonomy. This is our money, not just yours or your mother's. Who does she think I am?" I felt like I was being stretched thin between the two most important women in my life. I loved Isabella, but I also didn't want to displease my mother. I tried to side with Isabella to protect her from my mother's words, but I wasn't decisive enough. I kept thinking I could reconcile everything, but the more I tried, the more helpless I felt. Arguments between Isabella and me became more frequent. She felt I wasn't strong enough to protect her, not firm enough to draw boundaries with my family. "You always put your mother first, William. Do you ever truly stand by me?" she once questioned me. I, on the other hand, felt isolated. No one truly understood the pressure I was under. I gradually sank into a state of fatigue and constant stress. Our arguments became a daily occurrence. Our cozy apartment in Beacon Hill gradually turned into a cold battlefield. Isabella became increasingly withdrawn. She no longer shared work stories with me, no longer talked about the projects she was planning. Her radiant smile disappeared, replaced by tired, distant eyes. She often came home late, citing work as an excuse, and I knew she was trying to avoid me, to avoid confronting the tense atmosphere at home. I saw her often sitting alone by the window, looking out at the cobblestone streets under the nightlights, and I wondered what she was thinking if she regretted marrying me. She gradually skipped dinner, eating only a quick meal out, and I noticed she looked pale and lost weight rapidly, but I was too preoccupied with my own worries to notice such a serious change. I also felt incredibly lonely. I tried to work more, burying myself in architectural blueprints to escape reality. I often stayed at the office late into the night or sought out bars with a few colleagues to forget the pressures at home. I knew I was avoiding the problem, but I didn't know what to do. Every time I tried to talk to my mother about respecting our privacy, she would cry, saying I was ungrateful, that I was abandoning my mother for my wife, and even threatened to get seriously ill because of me. I felt like I was at fault, the one tearing the family apart, not just my small family, but also my extended one. The peak of tension occurred during Thanksgiving. My family gathered, and as usual, my mother brought up the topic of children. Isabella, dear Aunt Mary's neighbor's daughter, just had a beautiful baby boy, simply adorable. William must have a son to carry on the family name soon. 2. I see you've been looking healthier lately, a bit more plump. I'm sure there'll be good news soon, my mother said loudly, her eyes scrutinizing Isabella. Isabella tried to force a smile, but I saw her hand tremble as she held her wine glass. After dinner, when only we were left to clean up, my mother continued. She talked about how if Isabella didn't have children soon, she would ask a close friend to introduce William to more suitable girls, those who think about family, who know how to bear children. Isabella spun around, her eyes red. What more suitable girl, mother? A woman who will give up everything to do your bidding? I am not that person, and I don't want to turn William into that person. I have the right to live my own life, and so does he. I tried to intervene. Mom, Isabella, calm down. Don't say such things. But Isabella couldn't hold back anymore. She looked directly at me, her eyes filled with disappointment and pain. William, tell me the truth. Why did we get married? Or did you just want a woman who suited your family? A woman who would obey your mother? Do you want to build a real family of our own? Or do you just want a marriage where your mother is in control? A marriage just to please your family? She pressed her voice, trembling, tears streaming down her cheeks. I was stunned. That question hit me like a hammer blow. I looked at Isabella, seeing the profound hurt in her eyes, and I looked at my mother, seeing her resolute, unyielding expression. I felt torn in two. In that moment, I just wanted it all to end. I didn't want to make a choice, didn't want to face anyone's anger. I said words I would regret for the rest of my life. Words I believed weren't true, but that escaped my mouth in a moment of utter weakness. I don't know anymore, Isabella. Maybe Mom is right. Maybe we're not as compatible as you think. Maybe I'm not strong enough to do what you want. I'm sorry. My words, born from confusion, exhaustion, and weakness, killed our relationship. I saw a final flicker of hope die in Isabella's eyes. She looked at me, her gaze as cold as ice, then turned away without a word. I knew I had lost her. Our marriage, once built on love, had now collapsed under the pressure of family expectations and interference, and I, the man who was supposed to be the pillar, was not strong enough to protect it. I had destroyed not only my love, but also her faith in me in an independent family. After that fateful Thanksgiving night, Isabella stopped talking to me. She moved back to her parents' house, leaving only a brief note on the dining table. I need time to think. Don't look for me. I tried to contact her, calling dozens of times, sending hundreds of messages, going to her parents' house repeatedly, but Isabella refused to see me. Her parents also remained distant, saying Isabella needed peace and they didn't want to interfere in our private matters. I fell into a state of utter panic. The house became empty, cold, and I realized what I had done. I had lost the woman I loved solely because of my weakness and indecision. During those solitary days, I lived in constant torment and regret. I couldn't work, couldn't sleep. Every night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling and recalling every happy moment we shared, remembering our laughter, our promises, the future plans we had built together. I wondered if I could fix everything, if there was still any chance. I blamed myself for not being brave enough, not strong enough to protect Isabella from my mother's pressure, for not daring to stand up for my love. I felt like a coward. One rainy afternoon, I was sitting listlessly in the living room, the room plunged in darkness with only faint light filtering in from the window. My mother walked in. She looked at me with concern and said, "Son, you can't be this depressed. You should think about meeting other girls. I know someone, Abigail. She's very well behaved, capable, and she's an elementary school teacher. She knows how to take care of children very well. You should give her a chance." I couldn't take it anymore. Her words were like pouring oil on fire. I stood up abruptly, looked directly at my mother, my eyes burning. "Mom, do you know what you've done? Do you know why Isabella left? You destroyed my life. You drove Isabella away. Do you know how much I loved her? You ruined everything." My mother froze. She took a step back. Her face drained of color. She had never seen me so angry, never heard me say such harsh words. "What are you saying, William? I only wanted what was best for you. I wanted you to have a happy family, well-behaved children, a wife who knew how to care for the family just like our family tradition. What did I do wrong? My happiness is not for you to decide. My happiness was for Isabella and me to build together, but you destroyed it. Do you know what Isabella had to endure?" I yelled, my voice breaking, tears starting to stream down my cheeks. "Isabella had to endure your prying words, your impositions, your control. She couldn't be herself in her own home, and she even had to sacrifice her dream because of your words, because of my weakness. My mother still looked at me with a bewildered expression mixed with a hint of fear. Sacrifice what? What did I do wrong? I just wanted grandchildren. Do you want to know the truth? The terrible truth that I've kept hidden for so long? The truth I didn't dare to face. I took a deep breath, feeling the pain tearing at my chest. A few months ago, Isabella was pregnant. Our child. Your grandchild. The eldest grandchild you longed for. My mother froze. She took a step back, her hand trembling as she covered her mouth. She collapsed onto the sofa. Her face was ashen, her eyes wide with shock as if she had just heard something beyond her imagination. No, it can't be. What are you saying? She was pregnant? Why didn't I know? Why didn't you tell me? Because you didn't give us a chance to tell you. Because you were too busy with your own expectations. Because you constantly pressured her, saying she wasn't suitable. Didn't know how to care for a family. Wasn't worthy of being a mother? She was scared. Do you understand? She was afraid that the child would grow up in an incomplete family without support from its grandmother, without a father strong enough to protect its mother, a father who always evaded all responsibility. I said, my voice choked with hot tears, and after that Thanksgiving night when I said those stupid words, when I didn't stand by her, when I made her feel completely alone, she went to the hospital herself. She terminated the pregnancy. Your grandchild. My child was lost because of your interference and because of my weakness. My cowardice. I killed it with my own hands. A terrifying secret had just been revealed, not only to my mother, but also to myself. A secret I had buried for so long, not daring to face. I had kept this pain hidden within me, and now it exploded, destroying everything. My mother burst into heart-wrenching sobs, tears of belated regret streaming down her aged face. She trembled, clutching her head, repeatedly murmuring, No, it can't be. Mom, what have I done? She had realized that her actions, seemingly born from blind love, from good intentions for her children and grandchildren, had become the cause of a tragedy she could never fix. I looked at my mother, seeing the profound suffering within her, and I knew that I wasn't the only one enduring pain. But this pain was mine, and I had to bear it myself. I had lost Isabella, lost our child, and now I had hurt the mother I loved. My home, where I once dreamed of happiness, was now only pain and regret. Everything had shattered, and I knew that I would have to live with these scars forever. After the horrifying truth was revealed, my mother completely broke down. She was no longer the strong, decisive Amanda she once was. She retreated into herself, spoke less, smiled less. She spent most of her time sitting silently in her room, staring out the window with a vacant gaze. She understood that her actions, though stemming from blind love, had caused an irreparable tragedy. I too lived in constant torment. Every night the image of our unborn child and Isabella's pained, disappointed eyes haunted me. The house became colder and emptier than ever, every corner a reminder of lost memories. The relationship between my mother and me also became strained, filled with unspoken apologies and averted gazes. I knew she was suffering, but my pain was even greater. Losing Isabella, losing our unborn child, all felt like deep cuts to my heart, wounds that nothing could heal. I had thought about leaving Boston, leaving all the painful memories, but then I realized that running away wasn't how to face things. I needed to stay, confront what I had done, and find a way to atone, not for Isabella or my mother, but for my own conscience. I tried to reconnect with Isabella, but all efforts were futile. She had cut off all contact, changed her phone number, and even deleted all traces on social media, as if to completely erase me from her life. I understood that she needed space, needed a new life without me, without the scars that my family and I had inflicted. I respected her decision, though. My heart ached, though I longed to apologize, to explain, to atone for my mistakes. My life became meaningless. I no longer had any interest in architecture and large projects. I worked mechanically without soul just to sustain myself. I often visited parks in Boston, watching children play, happily young couples with their children, and imagined my own child, the life I had missed, the role of father I had refused because of my selfishness and weakness. That pain gnawed at me daily, turning me into a shadow of myself. I suffered from severe insomnia. Nightmares of the unformed child haunted me every night. I turned to alcohol to try to forget, but it only deepened the pain, trapping me in a vicious cycle of despair. One afternoon, wandering aimlessly, I stopped at a community center for underprivileged children. The children with their clear but sorrowful eyes touched my heart. I began spending time there, initially just helping with odd jobs. Then I realized I wanted to do something more meaningful for them. I used my knowledge and skills to renovate play spaces, design creative learning corners for the children. This work brought me a strange comfort. When I saw the children's smiles, when I heard their clear laughter, I felt a little peace in my soul. I realized that even though I couldn't be a father to my own child, I could still bring a little joy, a little hope for other children who needed help. I began to delve deeper into the issues that underprivileged children faced. I read books, attended workshops, met social workers. I realized that material deprivation was only one part. More importantly, it was the absence of love care and a healthy developmental environment. From then on, I decided to completely change my career path. I left my architectural job at my old firm and founded a nonprofit organization named Space of Hope. My organization focuses on designing and building safe, creative, and inspiring spaces for underprivileged children throughout Boston and its surrounding areas. I used all my savings, appealed for support from friends, colleagues, and like-minded individuals. At first, everything was very difficult, but with persistence and dedication, Space of Hope gradually became known and received community support. During this process, I did not try to contact Isabella, though I always thought of her. I knew I had no right to disturb her life. I only hoped that somewhere she was happy. I also didn't resent my mother, though the pain still lingered. I understood that she too was living with regret. We gradually found a new balance in our relationship based on silence and quiet acts of care. My mother occasionally visited me, no longer with advice or impositions, but simply bringing homemade dishes, warm hugs like an unspoken apology. My journey was a slow and quiet healing process. I wasn't seeking forgiveness or compensation. I just wanted to live a meaningful life, using my past mistakes to create good things for the future, for innocent children who were not at fault for the losses of adults. The scar in my heart was still there, but it had become a part of me. A quiet motivation pushing me forward on the path I had chosen, a reminder of the value of self-reliance, of courage in facing the truth, and of unconditional love. 5 years passed since I founded Space of Hope. My organization has grown strong. We don't just build physical spaces, we also create mental spaces where children can find joy, safety, and opportunities to develop. From safe playgrounds in poor Boston neighborhoods to cozy libraries in nearby orphanages, each project is a testament to my journey of finding meaning in life again, a journey built with tears and remorse. I became a voice in the community, invited to participate in forums sharing about the importance of space for the holistic development of children. I used my own story, not hiding my past mistakes, to inspire others, especially men struggling to balance family and career, personal desires, and societal or family pressures. I shared about the necessity of setting healthy boundaries, about the importance of listening to and understanding one's partner, and about not letting societal prejudices define one's own happiness. My speech is sometimes interrupted by tears. When I mentioned the unformed child touched the hearts of thousands, helping them reevaluate their own relationships. Every time I saw the green sprouts growing in the spaces, I created a new hope ignited within me. The clear laughter of the children, their bright eyes as they discovered a new book in the library, or as they joyfully played on the playground, all were the greatest motivation. They were not just children, they were the future, the seeds of a better society. And I thought, without biological children, felt like a father to those spaces, to those smiles. One day I received a handwritten letter. The familiar handwriting on the envelope made my heart clench slightly. It was from Isabella. She wrote that she had heard about Space of Hope through a mutual friend and was deeply moved by what I was doing. She praised my change and my meaningful contributions to the community. In the letter, Isabella did not mention the past, no accusations or regrets. She simply shared about her current life in California, about her thriving interior design business, and about how she had adopted a 3-year-old girl named Lily. She included a photo of Lily, a little girl with clear blue eyes and a radiant smile. Reading Isabella's words, I felt a strange peace. There was no romantic reunion, no promises of a shared future, only a quiet acknowledgement of what had passed and respect for the path each of us had chosen. I understood that sometimes connection doesn't necessarily come through meetings or words, but through a deep awareness of the other person's growth and happiness. In my reply to Isabella's letter, I sent my apologies and my best wishes for her and Lily's happiness. After that letter, we didn't communicate anymore, but I knew that somewhere she was following my journey, not with resentment, but with understanding and a touch of pride. Many years later, I continued to dedicate myself wholeheartedly to Space of Hope. I did not marry, nor did I seek a new relationship. My heart still held a quiet scar, but it no longer ached as before. Instead, it reminded me of the value of family, the importance of listening and understanding, and the unforeseen consequences of interference and lack of sharing. One day, when I was checking the progress of a playground construction project at a school for children with special needs, a young woman approached me. She had shimmering brown hair, deep blue eyes, and a familiar smile. My heart seemed to stop. It was Lily, the child from the photo Isabella had sent me. She was now a beautiful young woman with a slender build and a confident demeanor. "Hello, Mr. William," Lily said, her voice clear. I'm Lily. My mom Isabella has told me so much about you. My mom says you are a very special person, an architect of dreams for children. I was stunned. Lily, are you Lily? Yes, she smiled brightly. I'm studying architecture here and I really admire your work. I've read all your blog posts and I came here today to ask for an opportunity to intern at Space of Hope. I want to learn from you. I want to contribute to creating meaningful spaces for children like you do. I looked at Lily, and in that moment I saw Isabella in her eyes, saw the passionate and enthusiastic gaze of the woman I had once loved so deeply. I saw a part of the past returning not for pain, but for continuity, for growth. Isabella hadn't replied to my letter, but she had sent me a gift more precious than any words, a daughter raised with love and respect for the humanitarian values I was pursuing. Lily choosing the path of architecture inspired by my work was something I never expected, a connection that far exceeded all expectations. I accepted Lily as an intern. Working with her, I saw Isabella's intelligence, passion, and compassion within Lily. The young woman had no idea about the painful secret of the past, about the relationship between me and her mother. And I never intended to tell her. I would simply be a teacher, a mentor, and a friend, someone who found meaning in his life by creating good things. My life didn't have a happy ending in the fairy tale sense with a complete family, but it is a story of growth, of change, and of finding meaning in life after great losses. It shows that sometimes scars are the deepest marks, guiding us to journeys we never expected and bringing meaningful contributions to the world around us. I lost love, lost a child, but I found a greater legacy. A legacy built from love for children and from atonement for myself. My legacy is not skyscrapers, but children's smiles and spaces filled with hope. The truth of what happened doesn't disappear, but it has been overcome by time, by meaningful actions in the present, and by the continuation of younger generations like Lily, who will continue to build spaces of hope for the future. My story. William's story is a reminder of the fragility of family happiness when faced with external pressures and interference. It highlights the importance of spouses building their own space where they can make their own decisions and protect shared values. A lack of listening, understanding, and the courage to confront underlying issues can lead to unforeseen consequences, but can also become the motivation for a great transformation. What do you think about William's new direction and the unexpected appearance of Lily? Is his focus on community and social contributions an effective way to heal? Have you ever witnessed or experienced similar situations in life? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to share this video if you found the story meaningful. And please subscribe to the channel to follow more emotional stories and profound lessons. Thank you for listening to my story. See you in the next videos. Goodbye.